we recorded this all at my parents' house in one weekend. And I remember coming into the back room and Madison and Catherine had the headphones on and were like so intensely in this, like the panning process for the round and like creating this gorgeous thing. And they were like, listen to this, listen to this. I put the headphones on and the harmonies were just swirling around my head. It was the trippiest thing. It was so cool to be able to like be actually involved in that process of like, this is what we want it to sound like, and we can make it happen.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Release Day Series podcast, B-Sides, and joining me today is the Toronto-based folk trio Sleeping Bees, and we're going to talk about their latest single, Rest. In the trio, we have Reed, Catherine, and Madison. Each one of them are joining me from somewhere different. I know that Madison's in Guatemala. Reed, you're in Toronto? Is that where you're at today? Yeah. Catherine, are you in
I'm in
Europe?
Toronto, too.
You're
in Toronto.
Nice. Awesome. Talk to me about the group. What is the origin story of the Sleeping Bees? Reed.
So Maddie and I met through friends, and we just started singing together. And Maddie one day was like, oh, my friend Catherine would love to come sing with us. Let's do that. And I think Madison, you probably have a little bit more of a detailed story than that.
We've known each other through the grapevine for 7 years now, I think.
It's probably something like
Wild
that.
how time has gone so fast. And then we started singing together like maybe 4 years ago, but just really impromptu open mic kind of thing. And then we bonded over our mutual love of Feist. And then I remember being at a show with Catherine. We were in this improv choir. We were riding the ferry. We had this gig on Toronto Island, like in the water. It was this really wacky, like choreographed gig that we were, Catherine.
We're in this choir called the Element Choir, which is led by Christine Duncan, who is one of the coolest ladies. It's just this like experimental improv choir, and we were doing this like choreography in the water, and it was freezing, and it was very strange and really fun. And then on the ferry on the way back, Maddie and I were just chatting and laughing and talking about Feist.
It sounds like if you can meet in that environment, you can kind of become like best friends.
Totally.
No problem. Makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, we started joking about making a Feist cover band. And that was how this all began. We were going to be a Feist cover band. So we just got together and we were like, let's just sing Feist songs. Fortunately, it grew from there. But we were originally going to be called Secret Heart from the Feist song.
Right.
So your new song, Rest, that just came out, I guess, at the turn of the new spring. Is that sort of when this song came out? It's
right.
Super cool song. It's so fun to listen to. It's a great opening with the kind of guys laughing in the background, and then all of a sudden you're taken into this haunting harmonies and beautiful kind of melodies. Can you tell me sort of where this song came from, the story behind it?
So the summer when COVID started, I feel like that's just like how timestamps work now in my brain.
Yes.
But that was a strange year because we had all these big plans before things started of like, maybe we'll be going on tour this summer and all this stuff. And then we just went months without actually physically seeing each other. And I remember we were sitting in Christie Pitt's, seeing each other all together for the first time, and we like brought all our instruments and we were just hanging out on the grass. And a few weeks earlier I had a couple like lyrics in my head as I was working, and I had put my guitar into like the drop D like Neil Young tuning for like when I was playing some of his songs, so it was like there already, and we just started kind of all singing along to these words. And I remember Madison picked up her ukulele and started doing that like little riff that you hear throughout the song. Catherine, you picked up the banjo and you were doing some stuff. And yeah.
There's tons of layers, as you guys have mentioned, tons of layers. And that's just a matter of workshopping. You just kind of feeling out how a song like that kind of comes together? You kind of get just a bit of an essence of like, do the words or the story of it kind of play into how you come up with the instrumentation at all?
I just remember being in the park and just playing it on a loop, or singing it, I guess, at this point on the loop with Reed playing the guitar, and then just kind of, it kind of just morphed and layered from there. And then we came up with these little parts and decided that it's the kind of song that would really suit having around. But it all happened pretty organically, I'll say. Like, it wasn't as if we were very like, this is going to be this structure and like we're going to create this specific effect. Like, it just kind of unfolded really organically, which was really the first time that had happened with us, I'd say.
Yeah, and to answer your question about just like how the instrumentation comes, I feel like it's just kind of like a feeling, you know, adding things that evoke a certain feeling, if that makes sense.
You know why it does, because you feel it. Like, you feel it when listening to the song. There's this, again, like I that's why I'm such a lover of folk music and just music of, you know, with these kind of instrumentations, because it just feels so real, right? It feels so much more connected, and the way that it was like mixed and produced, it's like you put the headphones on and you're lost in it. It's beautiful in a good way, right? Like, you hear all these things happening around you. Now, talk to me, because this is like a new direction for you. It's the first time that it's been entirely and independently written, recorded, and produced by you guys. Take me through that process and that mindset of bringing this to life.
Yeah, so I've been experimenting with recording since probably about like 2013. Yeah, so about 9 years on and off. I've recorded at studios and with other people being more in control of things, and have found it, especially as a woman in those environments, and a pretty like introverted and like often pretty soft-spoken person, I would get really frustrated that I wasn't a part of those decisions, because I heard it in my head very differently than. Anyways, I love that experimentation, and like I was saying before, sort of seeking for that feeling. I love, after we recorded the original tracks at Reed's childhood home in Whitevale, so like basically the banjo, the guitar, our voices. I took it back to my home studio, I guess, and that's where I just, get into the zone, put on my headphones, and just start like playing, like jump from the harp to the keyboard.
Recording is like a totally different art for me personally, because I came from a very like different musical background than the other two, where I was a performer my whole life, but I was always singing like opera music, and they don't use microphones, so I have very little experience with even using a microphone before this project. I mean, a little bit here and there, but so the act of recording and just like that relationship you build with how to even use the consonants and not overdo them so that they get that pop. And like, there's just certain techniques that I was super new to when recording this. And I learned so much out of that from all the retreats that we did throughout COVID. I think we went on monthly retreats for almost 6 months in a row, like pretty dedicated. And we recorded every single month. And that was like very enlightening for me personally, to just experience the recording process from start to finish, and in a really organic way, where it wasn't like you're in the studio, you're on the clock, we're paying thousands of dollars to be here. But like, we just had our own gear set up in, a very soundproof living room, I will say. Reed's parents' living room has lots of bookshelves and rugs, so it was a kind of great space to record in. But we just had fun with it. Like, we were able to just play and explore, like Catherine was saying, and it was very like nourishing for me.
You spoke of this closeness that you hear, Alex, in the recordings. Like, I feel like my favorite recordings are these intimate moments that are documented. And for me, it can feel really vulnerable to be in the studio, even just like the time crunch, like you were saying, Maddie, like I'm fucking paying money and the time is winding down, and like, it's really stressful. And then on top of that, like getting into a vulnerable space where you're singing it's really intense and can get emotional. And the best songs, I feel like, to me, are really conveying that emotion in a really vulnerable way. And I've found that it's easier for me to get into that space when I'm not in a
studio with someone that I don't know or that I'm not comfortable with, or
Right.
yeah, being able to document that intimacy.
I bet I can't relate to any of that. So hearing it is really it's interesting, because I mean, it's kind of, I mean, you just think about it, like, you're putting yourself out there enough as it is as an artist. Like, you also I don't think about just what, like, environment is probably ideal as well. I mean, whether or not, you know, you can bank on the environment being ideal all the time, I get it. You know, you've got to probably work in those environments where it's like, we are on the clock, we are this, that. So when you kind of have these opportunities to be in a space where it's kind of on your own time, and you know, you kind of see and feel how that difference can be. And Rest it's a beautiful tune. You gotta immerse yourself in this one. I mean, play it however you want to play it. My main suggestion is put on headphones, get close to it. Reed, Madison, Catherine, congratulations on the release. I'm excited for more music. I hate putting that pressure on artists, but I am excited to hear what else is coming next from the Sleeping Bees. So thank you for joining me on the Release Day Series podcast, B-Sides.
Thanks so much, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
You can discover more podcast episodes as well as our limited video series on our website, www.releasedayseries.com. And if you'd like to support the show, we've added that option to the website as well. Send us $1, $3, $5, whatever you'd like. Any support helps. But most importantly, we appreciate you listening and sharing the podcast.